bleak, horrible future we live in.
From legal marijuana, to 9/11, to Donald Trump becoming president, to Blinky, the three-eyed fish, you've probably heard the conspiracy theory that The Simpsons can predict the future. But how could a yellow-skinned family in a cartoon show foresee these global events with such accuracy? Is it all just a series of wild coincidences, or is there something more sinister at play? Perhaps a secret world order, hiding in plain sight, slowly revealing their grand plans to the public, using a family from Springfield as their mouthpiece? Or is there a much more rational explanation for all of this? The Simpsons have captivated audiences for over 3 decades with their satirical take on American culture, and, curiously, their seemingly prophetic abilities. Since its debut in December 1989, The Simpsons have produced over 750 episodes across 35 seasons, becoming one of the longest-running television series in history. This longevity alone increases the likelihood that some of the scenarios in the show might eventually come true. But what has really sparked the conspiracy and the widespread fascination is the frequency and the precision of certain predictions, leading to the myth and speculation that there might be more at play than just simple coincidence. Meet Blinky, the three-eyed fish. In the storyline, Blinky's mutation is caused by nuclear waste from the Springfield power plant. 20 years later, fishermen in Argentina caught a similar three-eyed fish near a nuclear power plant. Or, in 2005, an episode aired in which Homer travels to Canada, where he is offered legal marijuana.
Say, would you like to puff on a reeferino? It's legal here.
Only in 2018, marijuana was legalized in Canada. In 2006, Michelangelo's David was supposed to be covered because some people found it too pornographic. Well, The Simpsons already knew this back in 1990. In the 1993 episode, Marge in Chains, the Osaka flu, a disease from Asia, spreads rapidly through America and causes a huge pandemic. They couldn't find a cure, and the medical advice given by doctors was to rest in bed and to stay inside. Sounds familiar? One of the most famous predictions involves Donald Trump's presidency. In a 2000 episode, Lisa Simpson becomes the President of the United States.
My administration will focus on the 3 R's: reading, writing, and refilling the ocean.
And mentions inheriting a budget crisis from her predecessor, Donald Trump. 16 years later, Trump was indeed elected president. Now, the previous predictions could still be dismissed as mere coincidence. But the following one is harder to ignore, because The Simpsons don't seem to shy away from predicting scientific developments either. In 1998, Homer Simpson wants to become the next big scientist and scribbles some random equations on the chalkboard. But hold on, what's this? Homer apparently describes, without knowing it, an equation to calculate the mass of the so-called Higgs boson particle, which is a fundamental particle that underlines all other particles and thus the entire universe, often nicknamed the God particle. The real calculation of the Higgs boson's mass wasn't achieved until 2012, and Homer's equation was really close. Equally improbable and perhaps one of the most infamous and controversial predictions of all, the events of September 11th, 2001. In a 1991 episode titled The City of New York versus Homer Simpson, the Simpson family takes a trip to New York.
Oh, I'd love to see New York. We could all go with the bus company's special Super Sitter fare.
During their trip, Bart casually points to a magazine cover advertising a New York trip for just $9. But what really catches the eye is the silhouette of the Twin Towers, positioned right beside the number 9, eerily forming an 11. For fans, this scene stands as undeniable proof. This can't just be a coincidence, can it? And there are many more. In a 1998 episode, a sign humorously reads, 20th Century Fox, a division of Walt Disney Company. What seemed like a far-fetched joke at the time became reality in 2017 when Disney purchased 21st Century Fox. In the Simpsons movie, 2007, the NSA is shown spying on their citizens, tracking the Simpson family through surveillance. Just 6 years later, Edward Snowden's revelations confirmed widespread NSA surveillance on American citizens, making this fictional scenario a chilling reality. The Lady Gaga Super Bowl halftime show, smartwatches, Siegfried and Roy's tiger attack. I could keep going. It just can't be coincidence, right? So, how do the Simpsons writers keep getting it right? Al Jean, one of the original writers of the show, offers a straightforward explanation: probability. With over 750 episodes and countless jokes, it's statistically likely that some of these scenarios would eventually come true. This concept, known as the law of truly large numbers, suggests that with enough attempts, even improbable events can occur. Moreover, the phenomenon of survivorship bias means we only focus on the successful predictions while conveniently ignoring the many that didn't come true. Many of these predictions can also be explained by context, insider knowledge, or a deep understanding of societal trends. For example, Blinky the Three-Eyed Fish was less a premonition and more a commentary on environmental issues that we already a concern in society.
1, 2, 3.
The show's writers used satire to highlight the dangers of pollution, a message that unfortunately became a reality years later. Similarly, the God-particle equation was not a wild guess but a playful nod to ongoing scientific research. The equation Homer writes on the chalkboard was created by David X. Cohen, a writer with a background in mathematics, after consulting with a physicist friend. This demonstrates that rather than predicting the discovery, the show was engaging in educated speculation based on scientific knowledge available at the time. In some cases, sheer coincidence plays a role.
This one's on me.
Great! We're all going to New York!
The eerie 9/11 imagery, for example, was an unintended association that, while unsettling, does not imply any foreknowledge of the attacks. Al Jean has publicly dismissed the idea of any hidden agenda, explaining that the $9 price was chosen as a humorous low fare for a trip to New York. The show's writers often consult with experts to ensure that their jokes are both accurate and relevant. This commitment to authenticity explains why some of The Simpsons' predictions seem so persistent.
I have to pick up my kids at school.
They are rooted in real-world knowledge and trends. When Homer Simpson scribbles an equation on a chalkboard, it's not just for laughs. It's a reflection of the show's deep engagement with the intellectual currents of its times. However, it's important to recognize that not all of The Simpsons' predictions are rooted in such intellectual rigor. Some are simply the result of good storytelling.
What do you think it means?
For instance, the show's depiction of Trump as president was less a prediction and more a satirical commentary on the absurdity of his public persona. The writers weren't trying to predict the future. They were making a joke about the present. But why has the idea that The Simpsons can predict the future gained such traction? Part of the answer lies in the human's brain's tendency to find patterns and connections, even where none exist. This cognitive bias, known as apophenia, leads us to see meaningful relationships in random data. In the case of The Simpsons, we remember the predictions that came true and forget the countless others that did not. This selective memory reinforces the illusion that the show has an uncanny ability to predict the future. Furthermore, in a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, the idea that a beloved TV show might hold the key to the future is comforting. It suggests that there is some order to the madness, some guiding hand that can see what's coming next. However, the truth is likely much less thrilling. The Simpsons' predictions are not the result of a secret world order
Does whatever a spider pig does.
or a mysterious sixth sense, but rather a combination of satire, probability, and deep understanding of the world we live in. But various fakes also contribute to the belief that something might be wrong with The Simpsons. For example, the prediction of the Queen's death turned out to be a fake, and this is far from an isolated case. Maybe the thumbnail of this video even deceived you as well.